Barik wa sallim nahmadu wa nusalli ala rasulil karim amma ba'. Continuation on the hadith that we read on Monday and Tuesday. The legis Faqih Abdullah rahmatullahi relates that when the last hour came for Luqman alayhi salam, he said to his son, "My dear son, I've given you a lot of advice during my lifetime. Now that I'm leaving the world, I would like to advise you about 6 points. Firstly, busy yourself in the affairs of the world to the extent of the remaining period of your life, which is nothing when measured up against the eternity of akhirah. Secondly, worship Allah Ta'ala according to the measure of your dependence on Him, and obviously one needs His help in everything. Thirdly, make preparations for the akhirah according to the extent of your stay in the world, and obviously one shall have to stay there is externally, for there is no other place to go after death. Fourthly, continue to struggle for the redemption from hellfire till you are sure you have attained it. It is common knowledge that if someone is under trial for a grievous offense, he continues to make efforts for his acquittal till he is sure that the case is going to be decided in his favor. Fifthly, if you have the audacity to indulge in sins, do so to the extent that you can endure hellfire, for punishment of sins is dictated by law, and you are never sure whether the sovereign, however infinite his mercy may be, will grant you your mercy petition. Sixthly, when you want to commit a sin, look for a hiding place that is not being watched by Allah Ta'ala and angels, for everybody knows the consequences of engaging in a revolt before the eyes of the sovereign himself or in the presence of his secret agent Tanbahil Ghafilin. These words of advice by Luqman have been mentioned here as they bear upon the subject contained in the foregoing hadith. There is he who loves this world does harm to his life in the akhirah. Ar-Fajah Taqafi rahmatullahi says that when he asked Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiyallahu an to recite surah Al-A'la, "Glory the name of thy Lord the Most High," Ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu an began to recite the surah, and when he recited the ayah, "But you prefer the life of this world, although the akhirah is better and more lasting," he stopped short and said, "No doubt we prefer the life of this world to the akhirah." The audience sat silent. He again said, "We prefer the life of the world because we see its beauty and adornments, its women, its food and drinks, while all the bounties of akhirah are veiled from us. So we give preference to this world and lose sight of akhirah." Anas radiyallahu anhu relates that Rasulullah SAW said, "The kalimah la ilaha illallah, there is none to be worshipped by Allah, protects men from the displeasure of Allah so long as they do not prefer their worldly business to the requirements of the akhirah. And if they value worldly business more than the akhirah and recite the kalimah la ilaha illallah, it is not accepted from them." And he said, "You are a liar, that is, you are not sincere in the profession of faith. They are just empty words." Another hadith reports Rasulullah SAW is saying, "Whoever meets Allah Ta'ala testifying la ilaha illallah wahdahu la syarikalah, there is no God but Allah who is alone and who has no partners, he will enter Jannah unless he mixes it up with other things." After he had repeated this word thrice, one of the companions said, "O Rasulullah, I would love to offer my parents for sacrifice in lieu of you. What is meant by mixing it up with other things?" He replied, "Love for this world, preferring it to other akhirah, hoarding money for this life, taking pleasure in worldly possessions, and behaving like the proud people." Another hadith reports Nabi SAW is saying, "The world is a coveted abode for him who has no abode in the akhirah, and as much desired property for him who has no property in the akhirah, and he who has no sense gathers provisions for this world." Rasulullah SAW said, "A curse is this world, and all that it contains is a curse, except that it's for the pleasure of Allah Ta'ala, Jami Saghir." May Allah give us tawfiq to put all this into practice and convey to others. Subhanallah wa hamdi, subhanakallahumma bihamdika, asyhadu an la anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun, wa salamun alal mursalin, alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Taqabbalallah.